right, let's chop it up. So, I mean, there's been some picks at the wing position that the Pistons have been affiliated with. Zach LaVine, Tyler Hero, Kyrie Irving, pretty much Colby White. I throw him in there. I pretty much guess Isaiah Joe. It's more of a rotational piece. Austin Reeves. Really, I won't say too much about Colby White over the years. I spoke on him a bunch. If I do say something to be in the end, but for the most part, there's a common theme. They all can shoot and they all can get buckets. Now, which one fit the best is it get kind of sketchy right there. All right. Obviously, who want to be there? That want to be here, and that's pertaining to Austin Reeves not want to be here. That was a different time in the organization's history, right? But so be it. But each one that we talking about is kind of that's the bigger issue when we talk about why people wanted Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi is really good defensively, really good offensively. Probably don't shoot the ball at a higher clip than most of these guys we naming. But people say, man, it's Kawhi. He going to get a bucket. He going to score, and he going to shoot kind of like Jordan. He going to make it when he need to make it. So, that seemed to kind of be the narrative, is that none of these guys are really defensively like that. But we can start off with Austin Reeves. Obviously being able to play with Luka and still be effective, I think that lets you know he can pretty much play with anybody. Everybody can't play next to Luka. And I think that's why his value lies within the Lakers. For the Lakers, because you can't get many guys like Jalen Brunson and Austin Reeves who play really, really well with Luka Doncic. You can't find many guys, who really play well with those guys. You know what I mean? So, that's something else to be looked at. No, that's a hard sell. Very hard sell. But in general, he could shoot it, he could score it. They won some games. They won some games in LA for sure. So I just think maybe the durability issues throughout the years have been somewhat an issue for him. But his ability to get a bucket, I think that's what you like. His ability to be able to get a bucket. So scoring, get a bucket. You can play in the backcourt with a guy like Luka. Just wanting to be more durable. I know some talks about, well, he ain't coming through when he needed to. He's coming fresh off an injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to miss that many games to find a rhythm. So I think Austin Reeves would be a really good fit. Then you go to Tyler Hero. It's another really good ball player. Every time the Heat really need him, he's not available. He was hurt during that finals run they had with Denver when they played Denver in the finals. He did play in the bubble, played well in the bubble, but outside the bubble in the playoffs, he hasn't played well. Defensively, there may be a question mark kind of right there with Austin Reeves. Defensively, can they lock in? I think if you come to Detroit, you're going to play defense. He can shoot the ball well, score the ball well, facilitate a little bit. He can be a second or third type of ball handler behind Cade and Dennis Jenkins. Like I said, he can facilitate, he can score. It's just that he hasn't necessarily been there when you need him to been there for the Heat when they need him. That's the only real issue. He hasn't been there when they needed him to be there. Durability, but playing next to Cade, I think that meshes well too. Hero can catch and shoot. Hero can get the ball, get a shot off the dribble. It ain't too much he can't do. It ain't too much he can't do. So when you kind of having that conversation with Tyler Hero, it's like, it's a good fit. Just defensively, can you get him to play defense the way you need him to play defense, And if you can get him to play defense in the way you need him to play defense, and just at least get that effort. Then we having an interesting conversation. We having a really good conversation. So yeah, I think he a good fit. Is just durability and then durability. and defensive effort. And I think you come to Detroit, you have no other choice but to get that defensive effort. So I think that's understood. You talk about Zach LaVine. The big issue with Zach LaVine is, he hasn't won. He been in Minnesota, he lost. He been Chicago, they was losing. They've been in Sacramento, he been losing. And then obviously it's a synonymous, it's a common thing, or they got this thing in common, or synonymous amongst the guys who talked about is defensive effort. Defense. But one thing we know is when Zach LaVine come to play Detroit, he nut up. He score. One thing you're going to get, he's played with other, ball dominant scorers. He's played with Colby White. He's played with, DeMar DeRozan. He get his buckets. And people say, well, he hasn't played winning basketball. And we see what happened with Fox. And, but he ain't been in that position. To be honest, those organizations haven't won nothing in forever. Anthony Edwards is trying to do the impossible with Minnesota. Wiggins, number 1 pick, left, got an NBA championship. Karl Anthony Towns left, got an NBA championship. KG left, got an NBA championship. So, Sacramento, I don't think they ever won a championship. They had some great players. Chris Webber. My turn sitting on that long. Chris Webber. Mitch Richmond. I mean, a lot of guys came through there. Vlade Divac, Mike Bibby, White Chocolate. But ain't nobody been able to get over the hump and win there. Chicago, they ain't won nothing outside of Michael Jordan, other than the MVP by Artis Gilmore. So we having these conversations are hilarious. Like, he hasn't been in the position to win. Now, maybe he's too much of a loser at this point. And that's what y'all saying, that, he's going to lose and this, that, and the third. And that might be the case. Give me 1 second. I had a call. But yeah, that's that's what it is. You know what I mean? So, that's just what it is when we have those conversations. So, that's the big question. But as far as what you need from him, he going to get you a bucket. That we all know. You need a guy that can flat out score, flat out get you a bucket, flat out offensively, he that guy. You can get him at a 1-year deal, $49 million. And guess what? If it don't work out, you got $50 million in cap space free the next following season. So it's a rental. It's not that you married to him. I think if he do ball out and he playing well, they probably want to pay him ahead of the curve. But but yeah, you start talking about and then you also had Kyrie in the conversation. He's a winner. He's won before. Excellent scorer. Veteran. Really good dude. Flat out baller. He coming off an injury compared to the other guys, but ball handler, scorer. Once again, he's a guy I think he's the more proven defensive guy, because we've seen when he need to lock in defensively, he has. But also he's been there. He can literally come here and just score the ball. I think they're going to feed him. I think he's going to just fit in really, really well with them. So, smaller guard, very skillful. Probably going to sell some tickets here. But his ability to finish, and really the young guys can carry him to the playoffs, and then he can help us get over the hump, hit some big shots. So, I mean, ideally that veteran that's won, that season, it's cool. If you're talking about longevity, then you kind of talking about LaVine or Reeves or Hero and Reeves being younger. Colby White, he seemed to kind of give you more vibes of, he can come and play next to Kay Cunningham. Still young, really ain't got that loser stench on him like that. He been losing, but young, kind of has some injuries throughout his career, common theme here, but he can straight up bucket. Somebody you like to bring off your bench, but he a straight up bucket, so, he come here, instant bucket. I don't think you've seen the best of him yet neither. So, but yeah, buckets. One thing you learn about buckets, and I think every one of these guys have the capabilities of scoring the basketball. I mean, playing defense and not being much of a liability. But the majority of these guys who talking about defensively, then you really want to upgrade that forward position with a guy like Trey Murphy, where you don't lose nothing defensively. You gain defensively from Tobias. Duren is really good defensively. People hold the playoffs against him. We'll see what happens. Asar's good, great defensively. Cater's great defensively. And then therefore you got really 4 other at least really good defenders. You can, get an average defender or above average defender out there, in my opinion, I think, with the effort they have to give to play in Detroit. But hey, let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.